Hey, a lot of you know I did drywall for over 40 years, but did you know I'm also an inventor? I've come up with a bunch of things here that might help you guys out. I'll tell you all about them right after this. Okay, you know, all my life I felt like I wanted to create things and invent things. And recently I picked up some 3D printers and I discovered that they're really handy in a lot of ways, but I came up with a bunch of tools right here for myself to start with. I wanted to solve some problems I was having with painting and more, so I'll walk you through some of these things I came up with and why. For those that don't know me, I've been in construction field over 40 years, mostly in drywall, and over half of that in drywall repairs. I specialized in it. I got really good at drywall repairs, matching textures, getting in and out quickly, and I got to where I made over $100 an hour. But it got to where my health won't let me anymore. I've got some pretty serious health issues going on right now. And luckily I still got YouTube and I've got these 3D printed products. Now, if you want to learn the skills of drywall, I'm putting together some courses over here on drywallacademy.com. I've got one that's halfway done. You can sign up for it. I'm going to be adding to it real soon. And it's basically a beginner drywall taping and finishing course. I'm going to have courses from everything from texture matching, identifying textures, everything all the way up through bidding, small jobs, big jobs, how to build a referral business, and so on. I'm going to have courses that will walk you through A to Z, Z being you're a full-time drywall repair contractor or even a drywall new home construction contractor. But for now, let's get into some of these things. Now, some of the first things I came up with were kind of related to painting. You know, I hated having to throw away paint rollers. A lot of times I would do a drywall job and I'd be asked to paint it also. And a lot of times on those, you're just painting one small area. Like right back here, I'm going to be doing this video probably later today, so it should come out soon, about repairing. This is repairing somebody else's repair, but that's a fairly typical drywall repair. And when you paint it, you don't really use very much paint, you know, a quart or two. And I just hated having to always throw them away. Yeah, they're not real expensive, but these things nowadays, especially with the tariffs, they're probably going to hit about $7 a piece, $8 a piece. And why throw them away if you can clean them real easy? Over time, it pays for itself, and especially for you homeowners. I hated cleaning them in the sink. I really didn't even like cleaning them in the yard. A lot of times it slung paint everywhere. Sometimes you couldn't even do it. It wasn't, you know, maybe it's a well manicured yard, or they had a xeriscape with rock and you don't want to be out there putting paint all over the rock. Even if you try and rinse it off, it leaves a haze. So one day I bought this thing and I thought it was pretty cool. And what this does is it hooked up to your garden hose and it puts water out in a 360-degree ring in here, and it just floods it. So you would take it and run it over your paint roller up and down, and it worked pretty good, but it wasn't great. It still took 5 or 6 minutes, and it often didn't get this top part very good. So I kept thinking about it, and I bought this one device. You put your paint roller inside of it, and it had a whole bunch of nozzles, and it would spray it, and you rotate it, and it did pretty good too, but it still took quite a while, and often you'd look at it, and it wasn't clean. It took too long, and it was a big, bulky thing. So I kept thinking about it, and I thought, why couldn't I just spin it off? So I came up with this that I call the SpinClean. Now, this may look really simple to make, but I have had to make about 30 variations of this because honestly, that part right there is really easy to break. I have purposely printed this part right here and broken it on purpose about 40 times until I found the solution. I now have these where they're really strong. It's a very expensive material and you have to print it right also, but they hold up really good. So I actually print this separate from this. And what you do with this is you put it into your paint roller cover and then you chuck it up in your drill, and this is a 1/2 inch hex shaped, so it'll chuck right up in your drill. I've got some videos out about it. I'm not going to demonstrate all these, it would take forever. You put this in a bucket of water, spin it back and forth about 10-15 seconds, spin it off in an empty bucket, comes out looking like it's clean already, but it needs a little more. Do it again in that bucket of water, spin it off again, and it comes out fluffy, clean, all the water's spun out. It works really well, and it solved my problem. I made this so it has tapered splines on here because some of these paint rollers are bigger in the end than others, and you never know when it's going to kind of bottom out. Well, it doesn't bottom out anymore. It's going to fit somewhere between there and all the way up there, and it hangs on tight. So anyway, this one works really good. It's called the SpinClean, and I'll put a link to all this in the description down below, but you can go to toolfuse.com. That's F-U-Z-E, tool, F-U-Z-E.com. So that's the SpinClean. Well, I also thought about the fact that a lot of times when I get done painting, you know, you got this messy paint roller, you got to get it off here, so you'd have to maybe go find some plastic or something, because you know, if you do that, you got a mess. So you're looking for a piece of scrap plastic or something. Well, I keep all these things together now because I came up with this. It's a real simple device, but you put this over the top. I've got a cutout, goes right over this metal part right here, and then you just give it a sharp tap. I call it the Paint Pop Pro because it just pops right off, and it works really well again. And it's usually standing up. If you do it like that, then you can take the SpinClean and just reach in there without even touching it, and you're ready to do that. But before you even start cleaning a paint roller, the first thing you want to do is get rid of all the excess paint. And normally the way you do that is you take something like this 6-in-1 here, and it's got a little half moon shape, and you go over it. But the problem is each time you do this, it beads a little over here. So you go over it, you spin it a little bit, you go over it, you keep having to spin it. You know, it takes multiple passes to get all of the way around it. I'm all about speed. Speed is money. That's one way I made $100 an hour plus, and often quite a bit more than that. And it's all about speed, efficiency, doing high quality work and getting in and out quickly and doing a good job, not about overcharging. So I came up with this device to clean. Let's say it's all messy right here. Got another notch right here, it goes right over the frame. You just push it down and it squeegees off almost the whole thing in one pass. And I made these little wings so that it keeps your hands clean. You know, yeah, it doesn't hurt me to get dirty. I've been dirty many times. I'm not afraid to get paint or drywall mud on me, but why get it all over you? Because then the next thing you do is you touch a tool you didn't want paint on, or something in their house and you didn't realize you had paint on it, and now you're transferring paint to your customers' doorknobs or door or whatever. So it's best to just try and keep your hands clean. So that covered all that. Well, anybody that's done much painting knows that sometimes you got to take a lunch break. So you got this wet paint roller, you're in the middle of a room and you want to keep it fresh. There's a couple ways to do that. Or let's say you want to stop for the night and maybe you take a couple days off. Yeah, you can wrap it in plastic. I've done it many times. But I've had many times I've come back and somehow it's leaked enough air in there that the edges dried out. And once that edge is dried out, it's toast. Your roller is really not any good. So I came up with this. I call it the Roll Saver. And all you do is undo this lid. And let's say you could take the Paint Pop Pro here. You put it over it and give it that tap. And however you get it off there, you just get it into the RollFresh here. This lid has locking tabs on it. It goes on, and when it locks, it's actually fairly tight. It's not airtight, but it's enough. It will keep it fresh. It'll keep it wet for days. and you can put a few drops of water in the bottom to help. Plus, there's a little raised portion in the bottom so this doesn't sit right on the bottom, because sometimes a little bit of paint wants to run off these. You pick it up, it's stringing paint all over. It keeps it about 1/8 of an inch or 3/16 of an inch up off the bottom. That way when you pick it up out of there, it doesn't do that. And it allows a little bit of room for that water. But then I thought, you know what, I also use one of these. I cut in with one of these. The way I cut in is I'll go around and cut in with a brush, but those brush marks can show when you're rolling the paint, and you don't want that. So then you take and use like a 4-inch roller and roll close to the ceiling. It goes over the brush marks, and barely, you're leaving just a little bit that's not covered by this. Well, you might need to keep this fresh also, so same thing. I created one for that one, for that size of 4.5, and then I use these quite a bit over here. Drop it in here, same thing. Keep it fresh. I call it the hot dog size, because that's what I call it, or whiz roller. I know there's a lot of different names for those. Well, then I had people on my channel asking for, what about the 14-inch? I roll with a 14-inch because it's faster.
That's how I roll.
I often rolled with an 18-inch, but a lot of guys use the 14. So I came up with a solution for that too. I call this the multi-size because you can see it twists apart, and you can put your 9-inch in here, or you just twist it down. Or if you need to store a 14-inch, I made it so that it also handles that too. So it handles both sizes. It also fits fairly tightly. It's not super tight. You can make it a little bit tighter, but it's tight enough to keep it fresh for a day or two. That's why we call it the RollFresh. So if we're gonna take care of all that stuff, all of our painting tools, why not take care of our brushes? Because sure, these do a decent job. I've used many of them, but over time, if you take care of your brushes will outlast one of these cardboard things. They get wet, they fall apart at the seams. Pretty soon you got nothing to protect them. Well, I prefer to just start out with this. I call it the brush locker. All you do with this thing is take this cap off, your brush drops right in there. This is for 2.5. I'm coming out with sizes for 3-inch. I've got it designed. I just have to test prototypes until I get it to fit right, because I want this lid to fit snugly so that if it's in your toolbox, it's not just going to fall off and leave your brush hanging out there getting all beat up. Because if you don't take care of these, let's see, pop that off. If you don't take care of these, if they're just getting beat around in your toolbox, pretty soon they're going to be all splayed. And why not buy a high quality brush and take good care of it? These are pretty. There's a lot of different quality ones, but don't buy the really cheap one, guys, unless you're just spreading stain or something maybe. But if you're going to do some serious painting and you want it to look good, buy a quality brush and take care of it. And then another problem I always had was caulking tubes or glue tubes. And there's a lot of different ways to take care of these. I've done a lot of different ways, but none of them really work that well for me. So I created these. These have a tapered shape like the tube, and they have little ribs in there so that it grips pretty well. Once you push it on there, it holds pretty good. It does. Now I sell these in packs of 10. They're pretty cheap, something like $5 or $6. Well, I'm a creative guy. I'm always 3D printing stuff around here all the time for my own use. Well, I made this for my own use too. And this is for the hanging the bazooka for level 5 tools. And I'll pan over there and show you how that looks. Okay, you can see I got a full set of level 5 tools over here, and I made 3D printed mounts for all of them. Everything up here is mounted with a 3D printed part. And if you guys are interested in a kit like this to hang all your tools, let me know. I don't plan on putting these out right now, but if there's enough interest, I might. I did this more for me and to make it easy to show the tools and grab them in videos, since Level 5 is one of my sponsors. And mind you, they don't pay me anything. I get a commission on sales, but they don't pay me anything to say anything. They don't tell me what to say. They just provided me the tools. I've used them. They look clean because I did wipe them down. I take good care of them. But if you look close, there's drywall mud in the nooks and crannies. So that little blue thing is to hang the cradle. So I call it the bazooka cradle, and it holds it really snug. I've made it so that there's a lip right here that fits. It's kind of hard to see, but this slide right here, it goes right over that, and there's a groove that fits this wheel. So once you put it up here, it's actually kind of a snug fit, and you want it to be, because that way if you bump it, it's not going to fall off. So I went ahead and made them for all these. Like you can see, these actually spin up here, but you can take them on and off just that quick. Same with all these. Tools like this, it just slides into a tube. I made a spot to hold the little mini mud mixer. This is a good one for mixing up in your pan, like hot mud and that. And then right here with it, this holds the mixer right here. These just hang on the wall like that. Real simple to take them on and off. These skim coating blades, I actually made, so I made this to fit. Let me get it right here. You can see here that this cradle actually fits the shape of that perfectly, and it slides up to that little plastic lip there. So it just holds it really well. A lot of this was custom printed. Even these, they hold these boxes so they won't fall. But if you want to take them off the wall, you slide these little tabs up and it comes right off. You put it back here, slide it back down. It will lock it back into place so that it can't fall off the wall. Anyway, those are my inventions, but I got some other stuff on the store. In my store at toolfuse.com, you'll also find some ebooks. I'll put it up on screen. It's called the How to Quickly Improve Your Drywall Mudding. I think I have it right there, an old faded printout of it. I have one called Drywall Tools and Materials, one how to spray a knockdown texture, one about how to choose a drywall contractor, and I have the Drywall Tools and Material version in a spiral bound. This one's a really nice, these are expensive to make, by the way, so they're not as cheap as the ebooks by far, but it's a really nice book. And if it matters to you, I went ahead and signed these. So if you buy this, you will actually get a signed copy. I think it's on this page right here. So I've got a few of these. I don't have a lot because, again, they cost a lot to print and I don't expect to sell many. But we sell some other things. If you guys have ever tried to sand off popcorn ceilings, this is what you need right here. And these are hard to find. If you find them, you have to buy a box of, I think it's 100, or no, let me take that back. 25, but they're over $100. Anyway, I offer these in 2 packs and 1 pack singles, so that if you don't do this very much, you don't need to buy a whole bunch, because one of these, if you don't run it into like metal electrical boxes, nails, screws, things like that, one of these can last you a whole entire popcorn ceiling job easily. I've had some that have lasted me months if you use them right. So anyway, this is 24 grit 9-inch disc for your drywall sander. I've got those on the website. Plus, we've got these wall patches by Straight Flex. These are great. You can, these really work well. It's like a, kind of like a paper tape, but 4 times as strong at least. Way stronger. It doesn't sag and bulge. I would use this over paper tape around a box that you missed any day. Here's one other thing I made, and this was kind of something that I just wanted. I use about 20 of these all through my shop. I put one up right there, as a matter of fact. Basically, it's to hold your spray bottles. I've got spray bottles for everything. This is crud cutter. I've got all kinds of solvents, cleaners, your Windex, all that. It just hangs like that. They're real handy. These will be pretty cheap. I haven't offered these before, but I'm going to go ahead and put these on the website. And then I might throw a few fun things on there if you want to pick up some things for your kids or the family. Like, I printed these up for another event, so once I'm done with these, I'm done, because I didn't invent these. I'm just getting rid of the ones I have, and then that's it. But they're just little fidget things. They're kind of fun because they fold in all these weird ways. Adults and kids both like them. I made these for carrying in our grocery bags, but we actually have another one, so we don't need this extra one. I put these little wings on here. It's super strong. You can throw a bunch of grocery bags on here. And guys, you can show off and haul 18 bags of groceries or $400 worth in 3 bags. You know how groceries are these days. So anyway, check out my website at toolfuse.com. And I really appreciate your guys' support. We're actually really struggling right now due to my health. Today's been one of these days that was pretty crappy, but I forced myself to come out here and do this video anyway. I'll tell you more about my health in another video, but it hasn't been great lately. And I'm actually going to see a mental health pro at the VA tomorrow because I've been struggling with depression like I posted. Some of you have seen that. And I need some help trying to figure out how to get through all this. So thanks for your support over the years, and check out my store and let me know if there's anything special you might want. I can design a lot of different things, but I don't know how to do CAD. I do this thing called Tinkercad. It's like CAD for dummies. So check it out, and I hope to see you guys on the next video. Take care, everybody.